All right, this is Coach Lebetter. I'm going over the what we did in class. I just want to kind of touch over it again just to make sure you got it. So we did this in class, and so let's talk about correlations. We talked about it just before the holidays, and so I just want to kind of touch over it again. Here we go. All right, a positive correlation. So remember, we have a coordinate, this quadrant one. We have the x value and the y value. All right. And then a positive means that my dots appear to make some kind of pattern going up. All right. And so as X goes up, my Y values go up. All right. Negative correlation. All right. Negative correlation. And so negative, the dots appear to be going down in a negative motion. That's as X gets bigger, my Y value goes down. Now understand, we're talking about the dots. The dots represent two variables basically. All right, two quantities or two, and so like maybe like shoe size and height. So one could be the shoe size, one could be the height. So it's taking two things and two variables and seeing if there's a relationship of some kind. All right. So no correlation. It's this right here. That's where there's no pattern. All right. So as X goes across, increases, there actually is no pattern. The dots are like, don't make a negative nor a positive motion. So this is no correlation, no pattern. All right. So we talked about this in class. Draw a trend line. A trend line is another word for line of best fit. Okay, that and trend line are the exact same thing. All right, so I'm going to draw a trend line. All right, so the way you do a trend line, I don't have a ruler on me, so I'm going to try to use artisan. So what I want to do is I want to, let's say I always tell students count how many dots there are and then try to divide it equally and try to find the pattern in which it does. Look for where it ends and where it begins. So I'm looking somewhere maybe like right here, and I could be totally off, but I'm just doing it just so you can kind of see it. So I'm looking from here to here, and that to me is my trend line. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing going down. Notice I have a negative. So I'm looking for about the same, and I am not really examining this. I'm just kind of going at so it looks something like that. And again, I could be totally off, which looks like I am. This one, we don't draw a trend line, and because there's no pattern, so we say no correlation. Where this one is a negative, and this one is a positive correlation. All right, now, so I want to talk to you about the strength of the line. All right, so I'm going to draw some here. All right, we could have a negative one, which is, if you notice, looks like the dots are in a straight line because they are. This is a perfect negative correlation. Why is it negative? Because the dots are going down, and it's perfect because they are in a straight line. That's why it's -1. Then we're going to do, I'm just showing you the different strengths. It could be one where it's a little further apart, maybe. We're going to say this is 0.5. Now, remember, there are other -2. There are other modules they break it up into 0.75, then 0.5, then 0. I'm just going to do 0, 0.5, and 1. And I'm just writing them out real quick so that way we can. All right, so these are the different ones. And so if you look at here, this one, the dots are kind of scattered out. So anything that we say that is between 0 and 0.5, we say is weak. So weak, and this would be weak negative correlation because it's on the negative side. Anything 0.5 or really greater than 0.5, we'll say is strong negative correlation, and one's perfect. And like I said, there are different models. You could say 0.475 could be slightly, or 0.25 could be slightly weak, or no, I'm sorry, 0.75 could be slightly strong, or 0.5 could be slightly strong, and then the other could be strong. So it just depends on how they do it. This one right here, this is no correlation. This one, it's a positive, weak correlation. And you can say weak positive correlation. It doesn't really matter. And this one is a strong. So anything from here to here is weak, positive, and from anything from here to here is strong. It's just like this guy. Okay, so anything from here to here is weak. Anything from here to here is strong. I put this in the wrong spot. This right here really goes here. It's between 0 and 0.5. That's positive weak. And anything strong is going to be from 0.5 to 1. This is strong. Strong correlation. And of course, this is positive 1, so this is a perfect. So here we go again. So there's a -1 to a positive 1. Okay, so -1 is a it's strong negative. This is a negative weak. This is no correlation. This is strong weak, and this is a perfect. And remember, really, it's just really what goes between here. So you could have 0.75, 0.8, 0.99. Usually these are our R values. This is our correlation coefficients. We call these the R equals. So when we do this on a calculator, we're really looking for the R value, not R squared. Do not look for R squared, look for R. Okay, and so we're going to see that on a calculator. We will not calculate R by hand. I don't want to mess with that. I'm just going to kind of do it with the calculator since we're supposed to use some form of technology to calculate it. All right, so this right here is just steps and everything, but I'm just going to do just one, and so you can kind of see it. All right, so I'm going to do number one. It says here draw a data table, so I'm going to draw a data table. All right, this first one's my X, the second one's my Y, so I'm just going to list these out. So here we go, -4, -5, 2, 8, 0, 5, -2, 0, 1, 5, -6, -6, and 1, 0. There's my data table. Now I'm going to plot it. That's all I'm going to do is plot these points. And I'll probably do a different, I'll do this one. All right, so -4, -5, 2, 8, 0, 5, -2, 0, 1, 5, -6, -6, and 1, 0. Okay, so I've plotted it. Now I'm going to use and you can see that it's if you look going this way, the dots, as X value increases, it looks like my dots are going up. So we're going to draw a line of best fit, and I'll do it in different color so it kind of stands out a little bit better. I know I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 datas, and always check your work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just make sure you have everything. All right, I'm going to shoot. We have about 3 or 4 on each side. I'm going to go somewhere. I don't know. I'm really just guessing right here. Okay. And see, it doesn't matter if you draw your line through a dot or whatever, as long as it somewhat fits that way. Okay. So now here's what we're going to do. We are going to come up with an equation for the line that we just drew. And we're going to use y equals mx plus b. Remember, y is my y-intercept. It's where x equals 0. So if you look, here's where x is right here. It's 0 right here. So where does it touch? It looks like it touches right there. And my eyes aren't that good, but it's not touching 4, but it's just slightly above 3.5, or maybe at 3.5. So I'm going to leave it at 3.5. All right, so I'm going to say my b value, my y value is 3.5. My m value is my slope. All right, this is my rise over run. or we could use y2. So how do you find the slope? The slope can be found, m represents the slope. You can use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or you could just say rise over run. So I picked 2 points, and I want to pick 2 points, and I'm going to zoom in my camera right here. This would be better. I'm looking where my green line crosses the gray intersection perfectly. This looks pretty good right here. Right there. That looks pretty good. I got to find another one. That one looks pretty good too. So I'm going to go with this one. And I'm going to put, I really don't want to put, I don't have a different color on me. So I'm going to use, I'm going to circle, I'll make a circle around it. So this one looks pretty good here. So I'm going to circle this one. And then where was the other one I saw? This one looks pretty good too. All right, so I'm just going to use rise over run. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So I went up 4. So my rise is 4. I went up, so it's positive. Then I go to the right, 1, 2. So it looks like I go 2. So according to my line, I wrote a slope of 2, and it's going up, so it's positive. So my equation that I created is 2x plus 3.5. Now I left these in decimal forms. If this was a fraction, I would change it to a decimal. So that way, because when we put it in a calculator, it's going to be in decimal form. All right, so we're going to put it in the calculator. Now my calculator is old. It's not like the other ones, but it's pretty close. Let me clear my calculator. All right, so I'm going to do this step. Now, the first thing you need to do is turn on the mode, hit mode. All right, like I said, mine is a lot different than yours. All right, so I'm going to have to scroll down to stats diagnostics, and that's it. I want to turn it on. So I turn it on. And if you use the one in class, it's all in one, it's really small, and you can see a whole bunch, you can see them all together. All right, so I'm going to hit quit, second, and quit. Just get out of it. Okay, so now I turn the diagnostics on. That's the first thing you do. If you don't turn the diagnostics on, you will not have your R value, which tells you how strong the data is. And you got to have that. That's the first thing you do is go to mode and then scroll down to stat diagnostics and go to the where it's on and then put it on, move the little arrows and hit enter and it puts it on there. Okay, so the first thing we do is hit stat. Here's the stat button right here. Red, green, so I hit stat. All right, I want to see how this is in dark already, so I don't need to hit anything. I can hit 1 and it'll automatically do it, or I can hit enter because it's already highlighted. I'm just gonna hit 1. All right, L1 is gonna be my X values, L2 will be my Y values. Well, here's my X values right here. So I'm gonna put these in and I'm gonna hit, the negative is the guy below the 3. Don't hit subtract, it's here, right here. So here we go. I'm going to hit -3. -3. Oh, that's a 4. -4. Okay. And I'm just going to put these in. 2, 0, -2, 1, -6, and 1. Okay. Now I have 7 data. To make sure I've got them all right, I'm on the 8th line. That means I've already entered 7 numbers. So I just hit the over arrow button, which is right here. Now I'm at the top. Now I'm going to put these numbers in. Okay, it looks like I have everything in. All right, now once I get my data in, I want to turn the stats on. So the stat plots, just think about it. When you're plotting, when you have a bunch of ordered pairs and you want to plot them on a, you want to put the dots on the coordinate plane, you got to plot them. So I'm going to go to stat plot. Notice it's in blue here on the Y equals. So I have to hit the blue button. So I'm going to hit Y equals, hit the second and hit Y equals. Notice plot 1 says off. We want to turn that on. L1 and L2 is where I'm getting my X and Y values, and it's telling you it's a dot plot. So that's what we want. And that's the size of the dot. So I'm going to hit 1. Now, notice the cursor is on, the black's on the off. The cursor's on. If I hit enter, now that it's on. Now we want to pick the dot one. We don't want to pick anything else. We want our X list to be on L1, our Y list to be on L2. The marks, I like picking the on the newer calculators, there's like 4 or 5 of them, just pick like the second one. I'm going to leave mine on the second one. Whoop, I went to the wrong one. I'm going to scroll down. I'm using this keypad here. Yours looks different than mine. Go here and hit enter. Okay, now I have my stats plot on. Now I'm going to go to stat again. When I go to stat, this time I'm scrolling over to calc. We're going to have the calculator calculate all the data, make a line of best fit. That's a trend line. And it's going to come up with an equation and tell us how strong the data is. Then we're going to tell it to store it where y equals is. So when I go to y equals, so like if I hit y equals here, I want an equation. So the calculator is going to make an equation, and then we're going to have it store it right here. All right. So I'm going to go back to stat and calc. All right. So here we go. Now I'm at calc. Now we're doing linear regression. That's this right here, 4. There's your slope. This is the slope-intercept form. That's your mx plus b. They just use a for the slope instead of the letter m. mx plus b. All right, later on, we'll do quad and exponential as time goes. All right, so I can just scroll down to 4, or I can hit 4 and hit enter. Now, my X list is L1. My Y list is L2. All right, so I want to go to store. That's store means like save it in the regression equation. So we want to store the equation. And now we're going to tell it where we want it to store it at. Well, once we scroll down to this, then we're going to go something called vars. It's variables, really. So we hit vars. And now you see Y bars. So scroll over to Y bars. Once you get this part, it's easy. Then you see 1 is already highlighted. So hit enter. Then look, we're going to store it in the Y equal. This is where the Y equal comes in. See right here? So when we hit those, we saw all those. Now we're going to have it store in the first one. So we're just going to hit enter. So now we're going to store it at Y1. Now watch, we're going to go to calculate. You're going to hit calculate right there. And now here is my answer. All right, now, so let's interpret this. All right, so I'm going, oh, you can't see it. There we go. I'm going to put in green the equation. Now, it says y equals ax plus b. Remember, a is this right here. It's 1.608108. We're not writing all that. We're just writing the first couple, like dollars and cents, but round to the thousands place value. See the 8? So we're going to make it 1. So it's going to be 161. So we're going to say y equals 1.61x. My b value is my y-intercept. It's 2.83. So we'll say 2.84. Now look, we talked about r squared. We're not interested in it. R is the important one. So you need to write this down. So r equals 0.9020. Now I'm writing everything down. So because once you lose that, you get it. Now look, here we go. So this was the one I estimated for my line. This is the real one. So you can see I was pretty close. If I round that, it's 2. If I round this, it's going to be probably like 28 or 3. So, I mean, it's not too bad. I'm not too far off. This here, though, is telling me something. It's telling me how strong my dots are, how close they are. So the closer they are, remember, if they're a straight line, it's a 1. This one is a 0.92. So this one is strong. It's strong positive correlation. Well, I'm putting negative. Strong positive correlation. That's what that is. And that's all we're doing. That's it. That's how you do all of these. So like when you do these, you're doing the same thing. You're making a data table. You're putting in the thing. I mean, it's really just coming up with a line and then putting it in the calculator. Now, I do want to talk to you about number 4. Number 4 is a little different. It's not a 4-coordinate. We're gonna have to look at our data. If you notice, our data is all positive numbers. So we only need the first quadrant. This is positive numbers, this is positive numbers. So we're going to make this bottom X's and the top, this side here, Y. Now, there's 20 lines here. So how do I label it? Well, if you look, X values go from 2.5 to 12.5. All right, now what I want to do is I want to set it. Now, I'll probably put 0 here, which I did. And I thought, well, if there are 20 lines, if I do, 1 through 20, I'll still have all of these on here. So that's good. So each line is worth 1 value here. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, why did I pick ones? Because there's 20 lines. My lowest number is 12.5. So we just number them 1 through 20 or 0 through 20. And I just skipped every other line so I didn't have to write 1, 2, because it looks too crowded. Now, this way, there's 20 lines going this way. So I got to look at this. Now, I don't need 0 through 19. I know that. But if you look, it goes 19, and then the highest is 137.5. So what we figured out is what we figured if we tried ones, it wouldn't work because there's only 20 lines. So it'd be 1 through 20, so it wouldn't work. If we tried by twos, that'd be 2, 0 through 40. That wouldn't work either. Remember, there's 20 lines. 20 times 2 is 40. 3 would be 90. 4 would be 80. So 5 would be 100. So I just figured, let's just do 10. So I did 10. So 0, 10, 20, 30. Because 10 times 20 is 200. That'll work. So I just said 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So I skipped every line, but it still counted as a 10. So that's 10, that's a 20, 30. See how I only wrote them every once in a while? And don't forget your labels on your table. Now you can plot this. You can do the exact same thing you did before. That's how you do it. Now I want to go over something real quick. I didn't finish this real quick. So remember, we did this. This is the problem that we did at the beginning. And I want to show you some stuff. All right, so here's my plot. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see a little better. All right, so there's that. Now, I can graph this. I can actually go and hit graph right here, and it should look very similar. Now, this is the actual one right here. All right, that's the actual. I could hit y equals, and I can go here to the, see, now that's where we stored the equation, remember? I could go here, and I can put my equation and see how close I was. 2x plus 3.5. Now, in my classroom, I have color counters so you can see the difference. Now, my first one's already been drawn, so it's going to redraw the second one. So this is my second one right here. So I just made my line too steep. It looks pretty close. I just made it too steep. There it is. That's the original. That's the exact one that's supposed to be right. All right, so that's how you do it. Now, I do want to talk to you one more thing. When you're adjusting your windows, okay, we talked about this in class. So let's say that I have to graph this one. All right, notice my window's a little different. So I have 4 quadrants here. See, let me hit graph again. I have 4 quadrants. This is quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, it goes like a C. This one's only 1 quadrant. So I am going to fix my window where I only see this right here. Now, I'm not going to put the data in, but I'm going to just show you how to do the window. So you hit window right here. Now, when I do window, I'm only going to see this part of the window. So just let you know, I'm going to leave my data in there so you can see that it's drawn. All right, so I'm going to hit window. It's right here. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me zoom in. See the window button? So I'm going to hit window. Now, this tells me my min and max. Now, my x min is the lowest number I'm going to have. Remember, this is the x-axis. The lowest number I'm going to have is 0. And it's going to go, the highest is 20. So I'm going to say 0 to 20. Now, I counted each line by 1. Remember, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So those are by 1. So we're good there. So let's scroll down. My y min is how low it goes here. So my low is 0. So I'm going to say 0. And my highest one is 200. But this one I counted by tens. So this here, y, that means y scale means what do you count each line by? X scale means how many, what's the value of each line? So this one we're going to change to a 10. Now watch what happens. Now remember, we're not graphing this one. We're graphing the one that we had before. So you're going to have a little bit of a line going up here somewhere. So we're going to hit graph. But see, now you can see that it looks very similar to this. See? And that's the data from the other one. But that's how you set up the windows. It's the windows set up exactly the same. Okay, that's how you do it. All right. Hope this helps.